Tonight, on Scariest Places on Earth, some say it's not true.
But they were murdered and their souls were eaten.
Some say it never happened.
Metal spikes were driven into people's skulls.
One family will learn for themselves that Transylvania is real.
Transylvania is quite haunted.
That Dracula is not just a story.
He succeeded in having 100,000 people impaled.
And that it all took place at this castle. Now, this family attempts to survive a night of terror in Dracula's castle.
This is a place of supreme evil.
What is it that makes a place scary? Sometimes it's all in a name. Transylvania is a name that conjures up images of the undead, werewolves and terrible violence and vengeful spirits. It's a name that has produced countless nightmares over the past century, ever since Bram Stoker wrote his classic novel Dracula and set much of it in Transylvania. But Transylvania is not a fictional location, it's real. And in the heart of it all stands a castle with a terrifying history. It's called Hunedoara, and this castle is waiting for a group of visitors, a family from America.
Transylvania. Hunedoara Castle, 5:02 a.m.
I cannot find a way to get out of here! I don't know where I am! I need somebody to come and get me, though! I cannot handle this!
Connie's coming to get you.
She'll be scared. She'll be like, let's get out of here now. That's what you'll do.
But then when you're there alone and then you find out you really aren't alone, but it's not one of us. That scared the hell out of me. I've been referred to at different times as a skeptic, but I believe anything is possible.
I don't believe in the supernatural or the paranormal. I think too logically, and I always think that there's a reason behind everything.
What I hope to find is paranormal activity. I'd love to see that.
You guys okay?
No.
I think we're going to definitely see something. And it's going to be cool because they're going to think differently than they did their whole lives. That's what I think.
I think when I see it myself, I'm sure I'm going to believe in it a lot.
There's something here.
Deep in the heart of Transylvania stands an imposing castle with centuries of brutal history.
Hunedoara Castle. This castle belonged to John Hunyadi, probably this entire area's greatest ever hero. He was a warrior of strength, power, and initiative. But you can't have those things unless you also have brutality.
Here at
Hunedoara Castle, thousands of people were brutally tortured, then executed.
Brutal violence was a part of life here. Strong survived, weak were conquered, and used and abused and murdered.
Hunedoara Castle was the most powerful fortress in Transylvania.
It's massive. It's 13 stories tall. Takes half a mile to walk to get around it. Impenetrable stones. It's an intimidating castle to come upon.
The most powerful rulers in Transylvania lived at Hunedoara Castle. High-ranking soldiers were imprisoned here. They were often tortured in the castle's detention tower. Even though the walls were thick, screams of the imprisoned could be heard through the countryside.
Real evil exists in this place. It's in every room. It's in every brick of Hunedoara Castle. You don't walk out of this place. You turn and run if you have any sense.
Punishments were inflicted on prisoners in the interior yard of the castle. They were chained and beaten. They were hanged, beheaded, and sometimes even impaled.
The impalement, it's a terrible way to go. You take a stake which is oiled at the end and rounded, not pointed. You insert it into the victim. Once it's lodged, the sheer body weight causes the victim to sink slowly down and die.
The most notorious impaler learned his brutal craft at Hunedoara Castle. Some called him Vlad the Impaler. Others called him Dracula.
The myth of Count Dracula originally comes from Vlad the Impaler, a 15th century psychopath.
Dracula from Transylvania and Romania was a historical figure of a serious nature. He was born in the year 1431 in Sighișoara, Transylvania. He was destined to become a ruler, a prince. During his reign, he succeeded in having 100,000 people impaled. Now, he only ruled for 6 years. Nobody impaled people on the scale of the historical Dracula. Nobody.
On one occasion, he impaled Turkish prisoners after a battle. When the Turkish army got there, they were horrified to see a forest of stakes with bodies hanging on top.
Some 20,000 victims. He'd been up there for weeks and some for months.
Dracula learned impaling from a man he should have despised.
There is an old saying that politics makes strange bedfellows. John Hunyadi was responsible for the death of Dracula's father and his brother. The nobles captured the eldest son. They forced him to say his own funeral ritual and dig his own grave. Then they put him inside the coffin, nailed it up, and he suffocated to death. However, in order to secure the throne, he's got to have the support of John Hunyadi. Vlad made the best of a bad situation, went to Hunyadi, and was trained as a knight.
This is where he learned that he really enjoyed blood.
Some people get a thrill out of spurting blood. When he dined amid his impaled victims, which is peculiar enough, he would take bread and then he'd dip it in the blood of the victims and slurp it down. High-protein diet.
Some say Dracula gained his evil power from a mysterious medallion.
The impaler was given the Order of the Dragon by his father, who was high up in that Christian order.
It was the very select order. Only 126 nobles were ever admitted into that order.
The medallion was his claim that he had permission to kill, to slaughter, to impale.
And Vlad would turn the amulet over and place the mark of Satan. He wanted the power of the devil.